Winter is coming, and in this video, I'm gonna share the common mistakes that I see people doing in the off season that actually hurts their business even though it goes against common knowledge. And then I'm gonna be sharing some other things on the other end of the spectrum of what you could be doing so you could make the most money possible even if the winter is slow. The very first mistake that I see people doing is when jobs stop coming in, they think that's time to shut down their business. They act like a squirrel, they think it's time for hibernation, they're gonna gather up all the nuts that they got through the spring, the summer, and the fall, and they're just gonna try to go to sleep. In my opinion, that is a massive mistake. There are so many things that we could be doing, which I'm gonna discuss later in the video, that can make your business better. It can make you more future profit. It can make you more profit in the current moment. It could be used to better your business. There's so many different things, but just getting it out there first and foremost, not doing anything during the winter and just trying to hoard everything that you got and just pray and hope is not the correct answer. Another mistake that I see people doing is they stop marketing. And before you click off the video, let me explain, because this will make a little bit more sense. So people do not buy things in a morning. Like, they don't wake up one morning and they never thought about buying a concrete patio before, and they wake up one day and they say, you know what, I want a patio, and here's my budget, and here's what I want it to look like. It's a very long decision process, and it doesn't happen overnight. And so in reality, this is the way it works. Maybe they go visit a friend's house and their friend has this beautiful stamped concrete patio. And they go and like, oh my God, that was so much fun. We had so much fun on their patio. It's so beautiful. They go home and what do? They type into Google, how much does stamped concrete cost? Now all of a sudden they're thinking about it. They're saving ideas. Over time, they're kind of building up this want and this desire for this product. And the companies that win are the companies that are available during the research phase. So think about, as people are starting to think about it, they're researching. That's why content is so powerful, whether it's social media, website content, etc. It's the companies who are constantly in people's faces, promoting that message, showing ideas, showing vision, and then finally when the customer is ready, then they'll call you. But if you're only marketing during the busy season, then you're only really capturing about 3% of the market, because 97% of the market is thinking about doing a project, but they're not ready yet. And so if you only focus on the 3%, your marketing is not going to be nearly as effective. So those are the two most common mistakes, but here's what I think that you should be doing and what I do that I spend my winter on. The very first thing that I do is I do knowing my numbers. And so there's a big process to that. First and foremost, what I do is I analyze, I go back through over the course of the year, and I try to take a deep dive on your numbers. And so first and foremost, if you have inaccurate numbers, then this is not going to be helpful for you at all. And your first priority should be cleaning up your numbers. So for instance, if all you do is you have, okay, I brought in $1 million of sales, and at the very end of the year, I have $50,000 in my bank account, and you don't know where your $950,000 went, that's a problem. So very first and foremost, you need to have clean books, right? So you should know on the very top part of your profit and loss statement, you should have all of your job costs. How much did I spend in labor? How much did I spend in materials? What are all of my job costs? And then what is my gross profit? And then from there, you should see how much your company costed you. How much did I spend in marketing, insurance, trucks, etc. You should get a really, really good idea of where the money went. Okay. And the best business owners are the ones who understand fully. It's like they're almost like a savant. So think about like Picasso and how he's so good at painting. But imagine you're like that, except it's with numbers. You're like, oh, I can like see the vision. This is where my money's going. This is where it went. And you need to fully understand that, because what you pay attention to will get better, right? Like if you're not paying attention to stuff, if you're not paying attention to your numbers, it's not going to get better. So every single year I go back through, and first and foremost, I analyze exactly how my company did, where we spent money, and I start brainstorming on how I want to improve that in the future, whether it's cutting costs, raising revenues, and basically I want to get a pretty good idea of the synopsis and start making game plans for the future. Then from that point, what I do, and I've made many videos about this, I'm actually going to link some down below in the description so you can watch that after, is I do my Know Your Numbers spreadsheet. So from that point forward, once I know what happened in the past, well, now it's time for me to plan what happens in the future. And so I do everything from how many employees am I going to have? What am I going to charge per hour? How much am I going to market my materials? How much overhead am I going to have? Do I need to hire extra office staff? Do I need to get rid of office staff, back-end staff, to make my business more profitable? And I really start taking a deep dive and looking at the next year to see what I should do. And I put a game plan in place. And there's a very famous way to look at things, and I like to think about it this way, right? Man, I got to think of the saying, but it goes something like, if you don't know where you're going, then you're probably not going to get there. And really, in reality, all it really means is if I'm starting off and I'm just blindly kind of wandering into the future, and then you don't like your future, well, that's pretty obvious, right? Because it's kind of like if you want to go to, say, Las Vegas because you want to gamble, and that's your goal. Not a good goal, just what came to the top of my mind. But if you want to do that and you just don't pull open a map and you don't attempt to actually get on the road that goes towards Las Vegas, you might end up in New York. And I kind of hate New York. Sorry, New Yorkers, but I don't really like it. But anyways, so if you're not really focused on where you're going and what goals you have and what financial goals and what you want the future to look like, then the chances that you get there is probably pretty dang slim. All right, the next thing that I do is I've been looking for additional revenue sources if you have a seasonal business. And so there's always like the very obvious ones. Like everyone always says snow removal. I personally hate snow removal because I don't want to wake up at 2 a.m, determine if it snowed enough to send out my guys. It just sounds like a total nightmare. If you are a grinder, then snow removal is probably amazing for you. And I know a lot of people that make a ton of money. And it's not that I don't want to grind, but that's kind of where I stopped. Like, I'm not going to get up at 2 a.m. to decide if I want to send guys out. And I don't want to deal with the liability of having big old trucks on the road when it's icy. Just not really something I want to mess with. But what you have to do is to determine another service you could offer that's cyclical. So I've already done the research. This year, I actually opened up a permanent lighting business, which I can kind of link to you guys down in the description so you guys can check it out if you guys want to. It's nothing that I sell, just a whole separate company if you're interested. But there's a whole ton of options. You could get into permanent lighting, which the whole reason why I chose that, right, is in the summer, everyone's thinking about patios. Well, what are they thinking about in the winter when it's dark? Well, the holidays are here. They want to light up their house. They want things to look good. It's very dark, so they want light, right? So that's why I chose that business, because it actually gets busy in December and then tailors off in the summer. Very funny. It's totally opposite. There's also things like fireplace businesses, chimney businesses. You could grow Christmas trees. But what I would do is I would try to find a business that correlates the exact opposite of your main business. And the main reason that I do that, because, okay, let me explain something really fast. What you don't want to do is sign up another business that is steady all year round. That's in my opinion. Because at that point, you're not really doing that much to help you, because what are you going to do? If you start a business and say it's like laying tile, you're going to become a tiler, because you could do bathrooms and all that in the winter. In my opinion, I don't really like that, because then what happens when people call you for those jobs in the summer, and then you're not going to be able to service them, right? Because you're busy in your main business. For me, it's concrete. So I like choosing businesses where I'm going to get a lot of calls when I want them, and I'm not going to get a lot of calls when I don't really need them. Because at the end of the day, the only reason I do that is I'm trying to keep my overhead busy. I'm trying to keep my trucks busy. I'm trying to keep my salesman busy, my office manager, my project manager, etc. Because I already have to pay for their salary. So if I could spread that out over a longer time horizon, well, I'm going to make more money. You could also go out and start building relationships. I have relationships with, say, for instance, a pool contractor, and he sends me $200,000 of work every single year. It is extremely difficult to make these relationships, and it takes time. So in the summer, you don't have the luxury of having time. So maybe you can't do too much relationship building. But this time of year, what I do is I take all of my key suppliers, all of my key referral partners, I try to go get lunch with all of them. I try to make sure the relationship's healthy, we catch up and we build a personal connection. What you could also do is, if you don't have anyone like that, well, now is the time of year to start doing that. Because if you're slow, the people who you could work with in the future are probably also slow. And guess what? Now is probably the time that they're actually going to answer their phone and pick up, and they might have time to actually go to lunch. And so what I do is I'll go through and I try to think about who are all the people that I can make relationships with where we could do business together. So being in concrete, I think of pool contractors. I want to have all their big fancy pool decks. If someone's spending $100,000 on a pool, then they probably want to spend $20,000 to $40,000 on the exterior of the pool, because if you had a nice old fancy pool and then your pool deck is gross and it's garbage, like, it's not going to look very good, right? So I think about pool contractors. I think about outdoor building contractors, where someone wants an outdoor building, and instead of putting all their stuff on dirt, they might want a concrete slab. You could think about landscapers, etc. Think about a business who is around jobs that you want, and all you have to do, reach out to them, build a relationship with them, and make it a win-win. For me, I always offer my referral partners money when they send me a job, or I just say, hey, sub us out. You guys can mark up our price, and we are going to be the easiest sub you've ever had to work with. When we say we're going to show up, we're going to show up, we're going to do great work, we're going to make you look so good. Figure out what's important to them and sell them based on that. This is a great time here to do that. If you guys need any help or you guys have any questions, I'm going to link my Instagram down below. Feel free to shoot me a DM and I'll get back to you. And with that being said, give this video a like, give it a subscribe, and if you like this video, then YouTube really thinks that you're going to like this video right here, so click on that and I'll see you there.